The paradox is embodied in the film's other action sequence, which now develops when the U.S. Army has to be sent into battle against the U.S. Army, guarding Burleson Air Force Base on General Ripper's orders. Dr. Strangelove is a let's see. Oh, I want to skip down. The grainy realism of the battle, Kubrick used orthochromatic film to shoot the sequence, heightens the black comedy of Ripper's last scene with Mandrake. They were my children, he laments, mourning the air base soldiers who have fallen to the bullets of their compatriots in defense of their general's aberration, and imagining that Russians disguised as U.S. soldiers will now torture the recall code out of him. He proceeds to blow his brains out in the bathroom, while Mandrake, paralyzed by his own mummified sense of English decency, bleats comforting nothings outside the door. The gruesome detail of his inability to push open the door after the shot because the bullet-ridden corpse is blocking it recalls the realistic stiffening of the quilty in Lolita. Doctor Strangelove is one of those rare films that shows no sign of their inventiveness running down. It keeps pumping grotesque energy to the surface like an oil gusher. It introduces each new character at precisely the right moment to keep its graph of lunacy in ascending line. Colonel Bat Guano, played by Keenan Wynn, comes in with the task force that has broken into Burleson, flashing his own obsession like an identity card the instant he confronts Mandrake. Guano is what the critics Penelope Gilliatt call a hardcore hetero. He suspects not commies under every bed, but preverts in every bed. Again, the military mania has sexual origins. Kubrick's direction of Wynn constantly plays on the glances of angular suspicion he turns towards every potential prevert, a now famous verbal slip. His dialogue with Mandrake continues on the stress on speech forms already noted in the film. What kind of suit do you call that? He growls, scenting a deviated prevert. Mandrake bristles. What do you mean, suit? This happens to be a Royal Air Force uniform. The peculiarly English indignation at being mistaken for someone of the wrong rank or class shows how sharply language, no less than action, defines character in Dr. Strangelove. And the Mandrake-Guano confrontation continues the theme of people on the verge of annihilation, sealed up in their separate cells of self-concern. When the British officer deduces the B-52 recall code from Ripper's doodlings, and a Coke machine has to be broken into for change to call the Pentagon from a payphone, Mandrake is darkly reminded by Guano that he will be answerable for the damage to the Coca-Cola company. It is rather like a man who is fighting a fire, being bothered by someone for a light. Interesting stuff from Stanley Kubrick, director of visual analysis. Oh, I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. We're just talking a little bit about Dr. Strangelove this morning. I do love that line where he says, "You'll have to answer to the Coca-Cola company." And like the author says, a man who's fighting a fire being bothered for a light. And reminds me of Apocalypse Now when he says, oh, arresting someone for killing someone, arresting someone for murder over here is like handing out speeding tickets on the Daytona 500. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Interesting stuff. Great movie. Good book. But let's go ahead and get started on Bitcoin Talk Show this morning. Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin was up 2.5% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 7,112, a high of 7,149, and a low of 6,850. That's $1 for 14,062 Satoshis. Checking in on the top 10 altcoins, now sorted by volume. We've got Bitcoin Cash up 2.75%, Ethereum up 0.75%, Ethereum Classic up 3.5%, EOS up 0.75%, Litecoin up 1%, Ripple down 1%, Dash up 2%, Qtum up 0.5 point, and Zcash rounding out the top 10 up 3.75 points. As always, you can support the World Crypto Network by donating now to the Bitcoin address or Litecoin, Doge, Ethereum, Dash, Vertcoin, and even Ethereum Classic, all accepted here thanks to the Trezor on the World Crypto Network. You could support us on our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/WCN, which now has 31 patrons donating $241 a month to support this show. Or on the patreon.com/madbitcoins, where 80 Patreons are now supporting us with $488 a month. Check out our Tallycoin fundraiser, where we've now raised $210.54 towards our goal of $1 million to spread the word about Bitcoin. As always, you can donate now to the QR code on your screen with Bitcoin at tallyco.in. Already done the altcoins, but this is DApp Radar. This is a list of decentralized applications so you can know just how incredibly popular these decentralized applications are. Let's just check the top 10. IDEX has about 2,000 users. Fork Delta, 1,400 users. FOMO 3D has about 1,200 users. POW H3D has 746 users. And rounding out the top 5 with 614 users is ETHTown. I don't see any of the dApps with more than 2,000 users as of Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. Jal writes, does Apple, Facebook, YouTube, etc. have a right to decide who uses their platforms? Should we call for regulation that takes that right away? Should we rally a faction to intervene? And it's been a little ridiculous today on YouTube. All of the libertarians seem to have forgotten about private property. I'm not sure why that is. We didn't nationalize Google or Facebook or YouTube or Spotify. They're not public utilities like the power company or the water company. They are private companies. And if you break their rules over and over again, they're going to kick you off their platform. What we should really be talking about here is Alex Jones' failure to prepare for the future. If anything that he said about the deep state, the new world order, all of these things were true, it would be an obvious thing that they would kick him off of YouTube. Why doesn't Alex Jones have a backup copy of his material? Why doesn't he have a backup copy that could stream his website steal? Why doesn't he have this ready to go at a moment's notice in preparation for this deep state nonsense or whatever you want to call it? He doesn't, because he's not prepared. And I've been listening to Alex Jones for a long time. I watched his original 1997 video where he complained about the UNESCO heritage sites and the United Nations stealing all of our national parks, for which nothing's happened in 20 years. Nothing. I also don't support Alex Jones because he never provides a solution to any of the problems he brings up. He only brings up more problems, making people more afraid and less likely to take action. You have to wonder, if there was such a conspiracy, which side he would really play for. But I've seen a lot of embarrassing action today with libertarians defending Alex Jones and screaming against YouTube, when really YouTube has the right to say who's on their platform. It's a private company. It's private property. These are all the things that you normally support. So you guys look like hypocrites again today. Fortunately, there's only a few hundred of them. Hey, Bitcoin. Are there any companies who make a plug and play Bitcoin node I could try out and demo on my show? Bonus if it's Lightning. And I reached out to Bitseed again, but apparently Bitseed doesn't have their domain. This isn't Bitseed right here. Apparently it's bitseed.org. So great job, Twitter, letting someone with no followers and no picture squat on another company's name. And bitseed.org, maybe try to get that back because it's super confusing to anyone who doesn't know. But John Light chipped in and pointed me to Bitseed, so hopefully they'll see this and they'll send us a full node or some kind of a discount or something on a full node. Because I'd love to show you guys this Bitcoin full node, plug and play, working and running. But I don't want to pay full price and then do an ad for them. That doesn't make any sense. The Justice Department didn't charge him with a crime, but they're going to take $39,000 from him anyway. And just a reminder that it's not a crime to travel with lots of cash, but you might be treated like a criminal anyway. A man from Maine was recently traveling with $46,000 of cash in the trunk. Police then brought a drug-sniffing dog, but found no drugs. They took the money anyway. Getting some blowback in the chat. Yes, Alex Jones should make his own website. Then he would be in control of his content. Then he could say whatever he wants. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when Alex Jones uses YouTube or Spotify, he's using someone else's property to display his message. So his free speech has not been taken away from him. As always, you don't get free speech without consequences. There are consequences. He said crazy things, and they took away his platform of YouTube, which is a private company. And again, too much power, whatever. He should have a backup website. Like, really, this is Alex Jones's fault. You really have to analyze his motives. Why doesn't he have a backup website? Doesn't he believe in what he says? I heard that during his divorce case, he said that he's a character and that he's just playing a character. So I don't know. I see all of his advertisements. They're all fear-based. They're disaster preparedness, water purification. He's selling fear, people. He's selling fear. West Virginia to introduce mobile phone voting for midterm elections. Oh, this is a headline that just keeps giving. West Virginia mobile phone voting hacked. West Virginia mobile phone voting doesn't have any records. West Virginia mobile phone voting is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Oh well. To all of the haters who said this day would never come. That's right. It's a pig flying. And going back to this, Terrence Yang commented saying, it sounds like a ridiculous conspiracy theory no one takes serious except people with an irrational hatred for Blockstream. The connections are very loose. How much did MasterCard put into DCG? How much of Blockstream does DCG own? The percentages are very low, I bet. And again, he's showing this chart about if the Bilderberg group took over Bitcoin. And again, they don't have any numbers here. They say that AXA invested 55 million into Blockstream. Therefore, they own the whole thing. So there it is. So, let's see. Goodbye. And another major Swiss bank begins accepting cryptocurrency assets. The tide for Bitcoin is beginning to turn. It's turning. And again, net neutrality is different than censorship or so-called censorship by Facebook, which is a private company. It's private property, you fools. It's the same thing you argue for when you say, get off my land, government. Damn government, get on all my land. And again, that's great if Alex streams primarily on his own website. Then he must have a backup copy, and I'm sure he'll be fine then. So what's the problem? He's not been censored. If you can still speak, you haven't been censored. The number of Bitcoin ATMs quadrupled during 2017, driven by users who prefer to avoid centralized financial institutions or want to have access to their assets quickly on the move. Check out that growth number for Bitcoin ATMs. Don't forget to review the Bitcoin.com app on Google Play and Apple App Stores. Aside from being a fraudulent app that misleads users, Roger is breaking App Store guidelines by incentivizing user downloads with his Bcash faucet. New cryptocurrency users need to be warned. And again, here's another situation to line up for you guys. The Apple App Store is private property. They have a set of rules that they expect the apps to follow. Roger Ver, billionaire, is breaking the App Store rules by providing people money for downloading his application. When they find out about this and they ban Roger Ver from the App Store, it will not be censorship. It will be a private company enforcing their rules. Censorship is something that the government does. When the government shuts down a newspaper, when the government silences you, silence means you can't talk anymore. If you break the rules of a private company, they're going to kick you off. This is the same thing that you guys support on every other issue. So imagine being hypocrites for once, because that's what you're being. Private property. You have to support these things even when you disagree with what happens. Do I disagree with Facebook kicking the frog lover off? I don't care. I don't care either way, but I do know that Facebook, YouTube, Spotify have private property rights, and I support them because I support private property rights. You can't have it both ways. You guys got to work on this. You have to examine your principles. You have to go back to the basics and say, private property. And again, Roger here is breaking the rules. Roger's showing that he doesn't care about the private property of the Google Play and the Apple App Stores. So when they discover that he's been breaking the rules, they'll kick him off and he'll cry censorship. It won't be censorship. It will be him violating the rules of private property. If you want these internet companies to be public and to be public property, then you support the nationalization of Google, the nationalization of Facebook. You support turning them into public utilities, maybe something like baseball. They get a monopoly on being Facebook. In return, we get to regulate them. We're also joined by Coin Packets, who wants to throw in more on this issue, although I warn him, very hot issue. People get very upset. So go ahead, Coin Packets. Tell us more. What do you think about Facebook and YouTube and the bans? He said, there you go. Can't hear you.
Oh, I'm on double secret mute.
Double secret mute. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. So welcome to the show, Coin Packets. You're co-hosting. You didn't know it'd be such an exciting show.
Oh yeah.
But we'd be glad to hear your opinion on the exciting news that Alex Jones has been kicked off of private property like Facebook and YouTube and so forth.
Right. So hey, first off, hey World Crypto Network. Thanks for having me on the show, Thomas. So I'm kind of in agreement with you, but I'm trying to understand the whole private company. Didn't Facebook IPO? So isn't there some public aspect to Facebook?
Sure, that's public that anyone can invest in it. So Facebook is taking public investment, but they have private property. The thing that they built, they own the rights to it. They own the code to it. If you stole part of Facebook's code, you'd be stealing part of their property. So even as a public company, they still have private property.
Yeah, but then does that kind of blurs the line in terms of what they can actually censor then, right? If I own shares of Facebook and I don't agree with this censorship, and I have a reasonable amount of shares, maybe 5%, and I have a group of other 5%ers that come in and say, hey, we don't like what you did. Isn't there an aspect there that can come into play?
Not really. It's more like a private club, and if their members decide they don't want you to be a member, or if they think that you violated their rules, it's a private club. Really, like things like the public utilities, like the power company or the water company, these are regulated utilities. These are government-sanctioned monopolies. And while people have talked about the idea of making Facebook into one of these, or especially with the interference issues and the other regulatory things they want to bring down on Facebook, they could change that. But as of right now, these are just private companies offering a product. The product comes with rules. Alex Jones broke those rules repeatedly. He was given warnings. He continued to break the rules. Actually, in point of fact, when they banned Alex Jones from live streaming for 90 days, Alex Jones, once again, instead of respecting the rules of the platform he was on and taking a 90-day vacation, began live streaming on one of his other channels, which is clearly not what the rules are supposed to do. He was trying to get around the rules. He was flaunting the rules, and now he's been punished for breaking the rules. It's a pretty simple thing. They have private property. They have private rules. He broke them. He's gone. He's not been censored. No government has stopped him from speaking. No one has seized his printing presses. He was using someone else's property to spread his word.
What
And
did he
they said
do
no.
exactly? What did he do exactly that broke the rules with Facebook and YouTube? What exactly did he do?
I don't know the exact charges that he was stricken for. I know that he got a strike for saying that the Sandy Hook children were child actors. He said that that entire thing was a fake put-up job, and he later walked away from that story. He said that maybe he was wrong or he hedged it or something. And remember, we're also living in a post-Alex Jones divorce world where Alex Jones has gone on the stand during his divorce and said, much like Rush Limbaugh before him, that he is a provocateur. He's an entertainer. So as much as we'd like there to be frog people and lizard men and space aliens and other conspiracies and such, and maybe some of it's true, again, I'm not denying that, but whatever Alex Jones is doing is now filled with the era of Rush Limbaugh, where Rush Limbaugh would get super upset and you'd be like, does he really believe that? And eventually the answer was no. Rush and Alex are both playing characters to incite people and to get them all fired up. So I think people were tired of them inciting these conspiracy theories and these violence and so forth. And they finally kicked him off his site. Now, did they take too long to kick him off? Most definitely. Could they have gotten to this sooner? Has he broken the rules before? Yes. But just because they take too long to do something doesn't mean that they don't have the right to do something or that it's not their private property. And people are even saying in the chat that Alex has his own website and that he has his own way to stream his media and that he's still technically on the air. So I really don't see censorship. Censorship is when your voice is removed. I see people kicking someone off of private property, and that's a libertarian idea. I'm being very libertarian here, defending the private property rights of YouTube, Google, and Spotify.
But you are agreeing that there is censorship with those platforms because they're, in a sense, they're masquerading as private platforms.
I don't think so. I mean, censorship is the suppression or prohibition of any parts of book, films, news, etc., that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. And in ancient Rome, it was the office or position of censor. So basically, I just think that they are defending their private property rights. Prohibition, the regulation imposes censorship on all media. I don't think it's been prohibited. Prohibition. I don't think it's been prohibited. I think you could still go to Alex Jones's website and watch his videos. I
Yeah,
think
but
that
Facebook is censoring though, because they are suppressing his content on their platform.
on their platform, I think is the difference there.
Yeah,
Censorship is in the entire society, as in the thing is truly gone. Like when you censored something during Soviet Russia, you'd still be able to find it on like a street corner or something, or in a pile of books, something like that, but it would be mostly gone. Actually, everyone is talking about Alex Jones, so he's getting tons of free press from this, and will probably come out with more viewers and with more people.
yeah.
So
I don't think he should complain that he's being censored everywhere. It's just that on those particular platforms, they chose to censor him within their particular networks. Now, outside of YouTube and Facebook, of course, he's going to be free to do whatever he wants. I mean, unless some secret bodies shut him up. But yeah, I just think for Facebook and YouTube and all these other sites to mobilize like this, and however time it took for them to do this, that's kind of grimy to me.
it seems like it's been coming for a long time. And again, if anything of the things he said were true, we're seeing the natural result of the so-called deep state fighting back at him. So he should be happy, right? He should be, this is my proof.
Right.
This is proof of everything. And I'm saying that he should have a backup plan. Um, if he's really saying things like my archive was removed from the internet, it wasn't your archive, it's YouTube's archive. Like YouTube owns this archive. If you download it, you own a copy of it. They're probably a decent company. They'd probably let him download his archive. I don't know, behind the scenes, not officially. But other than that, he used these private properties to spread his message successfully for years. That's a pretty good deal. They even paid him ad money, I imagine. So he also got paid from these private properties. But once again, private property law. Like, you have the right to do what you want on your property. This is libertarianism 101. Like, YouTube is a private property. If we want to make it public, that's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, you and me talked about this a little bit. Like, he is a character. He plays a character. He's in it. He's in it for the money, in my standpoint, because he's selling fear, in a sense. So he's gonna really be hurt by Facebook, YouTube, all the big guys that control the ads, the ad networks, all those things. Because they're gonna censor him on that level too, I believe. So, if they hit him in his pockets, he's going to be hurt for sure. Now, if he's in it for the real reasons of spreading the good word about what Americans and people worldwide should care about, this really shouldn't hurt him, because he like you said, he should have plenty of other mediums of getting that word out. So
I'd agree, and he's getting more press for this. It's going fine. People are still not sure about the public-private companies. Public company means that you're selling stock. That's not the same as being a public utility, right? Just because IBM is selling stock doesn't mean that we've nationalized IBM. A public utility, like the phone company, which isn't even a public utility anymore, they've deregulated, something like the water company, right? You get water from your city local water department. You get water from your county water department. The water company has certain rules over what they can charge. They can't cut off your water for your political views or whatever. They can cut it off because you don't pay. The water company is a public utility. The American government has the right to regulate public utilities. YouTube is not a public utility. I agree, it seems like it. It seems like a public utility because so many people use it this way, and so many extreme topics and people from subcultures and subgenres, even crypto, definitely crypto. We all use YouTube and we pretend that it's a public utility. But again, YouTube's a private company. YouTube was sold to Google. Google is a private company. Google has private property rights. So there it is. And this is going to
So
keep happening.
yeah, with your logic though, I think the most extreme form of censorship that the government can do is obviously they can throw you in jail. So I'm thinking the name that comes to mind is Ross Ulbricht, the Silk Road dude. Do you feel like he was censored?
It's not quite the same. Ross Ulbricht committed direct crimes against the United States and is being punished for them. Like, do I think that those laws are valid? Should those be crimes? No. But on the books, those laws are there, and he committed those crimes. Once again, Ross Ulbricht is actually speaking out very well, considering he's in prison. Recently, he started a Twitter account where he writes down things on a piece of paper and he sends them to someone, or they take a picture and send it to someone, and then someone tweets that for him. So Ross Ulbricht's actually on Twitter. Charles Manson wrote several books in prison. A lot of prisoners write books. They have no trouble getting them published, getting them to the outside. That's where real censorship would be, when they stop your message, when they put you in a hole, similar to like Zola during the French Revolution. Like, they put him in a hole and he couldn't write for the newspaper anymore, and that stopped the newspaper articles, right?
So
That's
do they
censorship.
know that he's doing this method of sending tweets out? How come he can't send the tweets himself?
Um, I'm not sure prisoners are allowed. Well, I know just in
Right.
general, they're not allowed cell phones. I think they all do have cell phones, but I think they're not allowed them. I think they get a little bit of computer time. I'm not sure how much internet time they get. I'm thinking sending these short messages this way might be the best thing he can do. It might be the best solution. So that's what he's going with. But it's great to have Ross's voice back in the community. I still think at that trial they made a horrible mistake. His mother was basically threatened by the judge, and she said that they said that the protesters were handing out flyers about jury nullification. And jury nullification is a very uh, lesser known part of American court system. And if you don't support the law, like if the entire jury is like, the drug war is bullshit, marijuana is legal everywhere, this is a stupid law, the jury can nullify that law by refusing to convict the person for the crime. This was the only way Ross was going to win his case. And the protesters knew this. That's why they were handing out the flyers. So the judge threatened Ross's mother and said that they were going to sequester the jury, which is totally common in this kind of case and probably should have been done anyway. But with the threat of sequester, he made her feel that the juries would be upset with Ross because of the sequester. So she then pleaded and begged for the protesters, many of whom who had rented their own hotel rooms, paid their own way for transportation, made their own signs, and so forth. She threatened them and asked them to go home. So the protesters went home. Ross Ulbricht didn't become a political prisoner, a drug warrior, a person trying to stop the illegal and wrong drug war. And then he was completely convicted of several consecutive life sentences. He's starting to change a little now, but he's still not the old Dread Pirate Roberts. Um, that guy knew it, right? That guy knew what he had signed up for, knew what he was in for, and he talked a big talk, at least outside of the prison walls. I think he's still in there. I think that
Yeah.
Dread Pirate Roberts is still in there, and that his basic belief that large amounts of cannabis should be traded for large amounts of money on the internet with no violence is still a superior world to the world we live in now. Put all the fake hitman thing aside, all of that nonsense, all of the minor problems caused by people who would have taken drugs anyway. And what you really have is a marketplace that traded large amounts of cannabis for large amounts of money with no violence. So
yeah, that kind of goes into a different tangent if you want to go there. But yeah, that is interesting. We got some guys in the chat, dropping some gems.
Well, we're going to
So
go ahead and let's open up phone calls too. So if you guys
yeah.
want to call in, and again, this is called putting your money where your mouth is. I'm taking an unpopular opinion on Alex Jones because I believe it's correct, right? I believe this private property argument destroys all these other arguments and that you look like hypocrites. And I actually support your private property argument. I think that's pretty reasonable most of the time. I do think we should help people, but that's a different argument. In this case, I just think it's a private property issue. Alex should have his own streaming site. He should be ready to go. Switch over to Alex Tube, switch over to Alex Zone, whatever it is. Boom, 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 done. So let's see. I'm going to pull up the chat. But again, if you don't call in, you're not really putting your money where your mouth is. All you have to do is get this free program called Skype. You get a free account. You can set up a fake email. You can use a VPN. You can use a dummy machine. You can use a throwaway machine. You can figure it out. So let's see. Okay. So now we're arguing that Google is not a private company. Okay. Now, Christopher King here, I don't have the quote. Here it is. It says, how much taxpayer money flowed to Google, Facebook in exchange for domestic spying? The private company rights argument is invalid with respect to their necessity for the state. And again, I'm not sure how to deal with this one without any evidence. Okay.
Right.
And so, first of all, you have to show me evidence, actual real evidence, not just invective or conspiracy theory that this money flowed to them. Right. Secondly, it's a deal, right? It's like contracts, right? This country is about contracts, contract law. All of your libertarian arguments are about limited contracts. So basically, it sounds like you're trying to expand the range of this contract. It seems pretty straightforward that if the government took money and paid it to Facebook and Google in exchange for domestic spying, that's a quid pro quo, right? They traded the money to get the spying. It doesn't seem like that contract was expansive in any way, nor does taking money for a quid pro quo make them a public utility, right? So you're trying to argue that if the phone company took money from the government in exchange for a specific case of spying, which you likely don't have any evidence of, then the phone company therefore is a public utility. It seems like a bizarre nationalization defense that you're trying to pull out of thin air here. So I'm not very convinced.
Yeah, it's always hard to prove those theories because there's just no evidence, nothing to support it. I mean, I obviously we know that Facebook is doing something, with the government. Maybe they're not getting paid. Maybe it's a one-way, function where the government is just like, hey, we just need the information on these guys, give it to us. It might be one of those situations, but even that, there's no proof.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it here, and still waiting for you guys to call. I'll type it in: SKYPE World Crypto Network. And again, I'm reasonable. I don't believe in the physical evidence behind 9/11. I think that Alex Jones started out okay, but he got increasingly crazier and crazier. He never provides any solutions. That's the main thing here, is that he's a problem-only man. And if you're a problem-only man, I'm not even sure who you work for, right? I'm not even sure that his contribution is valuable. I'm not even sure that we really need him at this point. I think people know it or they don't know it. They believe it or they don't believe it. And him screaming about frogs and Sandy Hook and whatever else actually, I think, sets back the conspiracy movement.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in it just to sell fear. I mean, fear sells. We all know that. The only thing here is, he was definitely censored from a private company level, not publicly, because that's a little more drastic. You basically need to be gagged or whatever. But from these companies like YouTube, Facebook, they censored him, and that he can almost say that that's kind of bullying in a sense, because who else can he go to? But like you said, Thomas, if he's a libertarian, he shouldn't necessarily need those companies. He should be able to bring up his own platforms where people can use. So it's not
And
entirely their fault.
from a company perspective, what we're really talking about here is competition, right? We just open up a huge vein of competition for YouTube, Spotify, Google, etc., where presumably all of the libertarians listening would prefer to use a platform like DTube or I don't know, censorship-free tube, right? And that you would be willing to subscribe at $10 a month and to pay to use censorship-free tube and to support other artists that like censorship-free tube. And sadly, as much as I do support the idea of things being censorship free, I'm a member of the ACLU, all those kind of things, liberal, left wing, free speech guy, all that. I know the internet. I know what happens when we give you bastards free speech, right? Things get super dirty, super ugly really fast. People play a little game trying to find out where the boundaries are. You know, dead babies, dead children, whatever it is, blood. They're going to test those boundaries. We have an internet culture that does that. So I don't know about the success of your new censorship-free YouTube, but I do believe that this is a free market, right? This is an open, free market where competition should come in. And I mean, I don't know. I don't want you to turn the show off, but if you want to boycott YouTube or if you want to say something horrible about YouTube, that's fine. Remember, you're not being censored, nor is Alex. We're talking about Alex. Everyone's talking about Alex. The mainstream media is talking about Alex, et cetera, et cetera. Censorship looks the other way. In Russia or in North Korea, right? When he says he wants to get rid of his uncle, they erase him from photographs. We were going to talk about this morning as well. Stalin erased people from photographs. He erased them from the history. They go back and they change the lines in the history book to say who's in the photo because that guy's not there anymore. That's real censorship. That's real government power. That's not what we're seeing today. Everybody's talking about Alex Jones. If he has a backup website, if he can keep streaming, which I'm sure he's working on now, he's going to be fine. I don't see this as a major loss for him. But again, competition. If you want to support DTube, if you want to support some other software, go out there and use it. This is if you want to build it, if you want to start a company or an ICO or whatever, do it, right? No one's stopping you. That's why we're still in a free society. Contracts, private videos, or private property rights, these laws, even the contract that if the government made a deal with those companies, it's a one-time deal. It's not like Darth Vader. He doesn't come back in Empire. Pray I don't alter the deal any further. Unless that's what you guys believe. But I think we're having a good discussion. I'm bummed that you guys aren't calling in. Even if you're at work, you could just take a 5-minute break, ask me a couple of questions, make a couple of points, go back to work. I totally understand that if you need to make a short call. But yeah, I think we're discussing this, and then we're seeing how it goes. I also want to go. I had a bunch more news to cover, so let's see how that goes. And one of them I think is actually on the line here. So let's see. Here it is. Back on the censorship discussion from a different angle. More Bitcoin involved. Bcash strategist and fake Satoshi / coin geek shill Joel Delaus. I don't know how to say that. Bans the primary developer behind Bcash, and we're just getting little rumors of this from around the Bcash community, but it does sound like Dead Linux or whatever his name is has been banned, as Dark Quill says. So the Craig Wright fraud backers have now purged the lead developer from Bcash and have begun downplaying his importance, like he never had a role, never existed. And this is an exact reference to Stalin and to erasing people. You can see this guy here. He exists in this picture. In this picture, he doesn't exist. And this is an actual real historical reference. Like Stalin did this. When Orwell talks in 1984 about the memory hole and the office that Winston works at the Ministry of Truth, this is Winston's job, right? His job when a party member falls out of favor is to go back in time and erase them from history. That's real censorship, right? That's government power. And that's strange because that's what the Bcashers are trying to do. So I heard it was Dead Linux. I've also heard this rumor that Amaury, creator of Bitcoin Cash, was just banned from the Bitcoin Slack because they didn't agree with his view on pre-consensus. Now, I don't know what pre-consensus is. It sounds like pre-crime.
I was just about to ask that.
I don't know. So internet, if you could tell me what pre-consensus is in the chat, I'd be glad to explain and share that view. It sounds like pre-thought, like we were going to have a consensus, but we agreed to it beforehand. I don't know. It's interesting. So Whale Panda says, again, quoting, he says, Bcash is so anti-censorship that they banned one of their creators and main developers from their Slack. So it sounds like quite a mess over there. I think Craig Wright is the only one left coding for them. As Dan the Dark Pill says, the new Bcash team lineup looks shit hot. They don't have all the Bitcoin developers. They don't have Peter Rezin. They don't have Iman Gunsur. Even the professor has left them. They don't have Amaury Sekchet, who presumably is dead Linux, but they do have the con man who claims to be Satoshi but doesn't code. So good luck on that project. And again, this is real censorship when they remove him from the photos, when they remove him from existence, and they try to say he never existed.
Do you guys feel like you can welcome back Dead Linux back to the Bitcoin community, or is he dead to you guys?
Well, I've always made fun of him or her for using a fake name, and I always said that he could always just change his name and come right back. So I guess that changed a little bit. They're probably outing him or her here, Amaury, and here they even see Amaury Sechet. So that might be Dead Linux's real name. Sorry about that, buddy. Not my choice, but it was already out here on Twitter. So
Yikes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, Bcash is a mess, as you can see.
Still, if he tells a good story and he comes in and he says, I was fooled, I was wrong, I'm stupid, welcome me back, I kind of welcome him back. I mean, we're still going to check his code. Like, we're not going to let his code go in without looking at it. It could be dirty. But, you know, we've got to forgive him. Like, it's an open source project. You come and go. You try other projects. They don't work out. You come back to Bitcoin. It's like Rome. So,
yeah.
still nothing but silence. No one calling in. All of the upset Alex Jones people don't want to talk. You're welcome to talk.
It looks like they just want to chat because the chat is on fire.
Yeah, well, that's good. And I also think that the chat, that we're going in a good direction, and I think we're having a good discussion, and that we've both put our positions out there, and we agree that we can have our own positions, and then we can discuss them. I just thought it sounded really ridiculous, these people upset about private property, when they're the same people that value private property and private property rights. It's a hypocrisy that really annoys me. But I'm glad to talk about any of these issues with these guys. And I have different opinions on all the issues. They're not all the same. I don't fit into a single party or category, and I don't think you do either. So I think that's simplicity. So
quick question though: can he possibly sue Facebook and YouTube for discrimination at that point?
I mean, normally discrimination is one of the more easy things to sue over, especially to at least start a case. But I don't think he has a case. This really isn't discrimination. This is more pretty straightforward. Private property has private rules. You break the private rules, they kick you off. Are the private rules arbitrary and bizarre? You have to wear an owl hat on your head or something? Sure, they're totally bizarre, but it's private property. And that just goes back to America. America is all about private property. They're saying in the chat that Alex Jones is suing them, but I'm not sure that he has a legal case for this. There is a public relations case that he needs to sue them just to have that story and just to have another day two story and to keep this in the news and to maybe save his reputation or continue promoting him and so forth. But I don't think that he has the right. I don't think he's going to win his case.
Yeah, I think like you said, I mean, he's obviously in it for his character purposes, and his defamation of character for him, but also there should be a wake-up call to everyone else to understand, like, hey, Facebook, YouTube, these are not, you know, things. This is not, they're not air, they're not oxygen. We don't necessarily need them to survive. But a lot of people, for some reason, feel like, okay, if you get banned from these platforms, you're done. And it can seem like that because they control so much. They control the ad networks. They control, you know, media. They control like very important aspects of, you know, how we live our lives. But it's not the end of the world. I mean, you could like look at Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is going after the financial system, and it's having a great run right now. I think it's going to be very successful, and no one gave it a shot. So I mean, the people in the camp where it's like, okay, he got censored, he's done or whatever. I don't think they should think like that. I think he should be taking this as an opportunity to let people know, hey, the world as we know it, it's pretty centralized. I have a decentralized solution. Maybe you might do an ICO. I have a decentralized solution for folks like me that need to get their word across and don't have to worry about being censored by private companies.
And it really does. Things get really dirty after that. I'm a big free speech guy, but I know exactly where the internet will take free speech. They will take it to the edges, right? So if you want to if you want to create a new YouTube where you're like free speech is all good, oh boy, you're going to get some sick videos, right? And again, this is just like the whole Nazis marching in Sheboygan issue. I don't support Nazis marching, right? I just don't. But I know the U.S. Constitution and I know the First Amendment and so forth, and it clearly says even though we don't like it, we have to let the Nazis march. This gets more complicated when they start being violent, right? When they start smashing things, when it becomes a riot, and then there's a whole series of debate. How did the riot start? Was it provocateurs? Was it the actual people? Was it a misunderstanding? So on and so forth. But riots start, things happen. But yeah, under the U.S. Constitution, Nazis have the right to march. We were talking about earlier about how you said, "Hey, it's tough, man. It's a tough one." And again, that's what makes that's why the U.S. is a great constitution and a great government, because people that we disagree with have the right to speak. And then there's a whole side issue there. We could have a whole big debate about Antifa and all these kinds of things. I'm not trying to head us that direction. But I did want to say earlier what you said about kicking Alex off these platforms is not the same as kicking him off the internet. There have been cases like Kevin Mitnick, the big hacker who was taken down, where as part of his parole, they kept him off the internet. And I thought that was shocking. I thought that was a denial of his basic human rights. I do think access to the internet is a basic human right, but that doesn't extend to having a YouTube account. I see the internet as a public utility, so that the internet is something that the government does regulate and should regulate more. They should enforce net neutrality and other issues, which is actually like enforcing a rule that there is no rules, the best kind of rule, right? But that's what we're really talking about here. That's the internet, and Alex still has access to that, so he still has a website and he still can reach all of his fans. And that's why I'm saying he's not really been censored. If the government came down and said, Alex Jones, you're such a bad person for saying that frogs are gay and saying that Sandy Hook is fake, that we are banning you from the internet, that is censorship. That is coming from the government. That's what I'm trying to show you guys, is that's what the state does. That's what North Korea does, right? That's what Stalin would do, right? We don't have that here. YouTube is a private company. They're not Stalin or the state. So I just think there's a difference. And yeah, there's one guy at least that agrees with me in the chat, and he says, literally use any other platform besides Google and YouTube. And that's right. Alex just needs to move to a different platform. Yes, he's lost some support. It's easier the other way and so forth. But expressing the kind of radical opinions that he wants to express is not very easy. If it's worth it, if there really is a deep state conspiracy and all this stuff, then obviously it's worth it for Alex to jump through whatever hoops he has to get his message out there. On the other hand, if he's just a provocateur and he's selling you survival equipment and life straws and water purifiers and all this other stuff, then he's just a provocateur that went too far. And we've had this several times in recent history. Most of them were comedians, which is a different issue because they're trying to tell you a joke. But this guy's not a comedian. He's a bit of an actor. He's a bit of a showman. And once again, YouTube's a private company. If they don't want your showman saying that frogs are gay and Sandy Hook is fake, they're not going to have it. I mean, YouTube's banned people for other lesser reasons. They kick people off for nudity or pornography or sex. I don't think there's anything wrong with nudity or pornography or sex. I mean, but YouTube does, and they're a private company, and they enforce those rules. Private property rights, people. So
yeah, Facebook banned cryptocurrencies I mean, that's all they need to know. They just flat out banned it. Maybe I think they're talking about bringing it back now, but the fact that they can do that, that just shows how much power they have within their platforms. But I agree with you. It's not a state or government based censorship yet, because his website, if it was, his website wouldn't even be running, because you know he would have to register with a DNS domain and all that stuff with a DNS register. He would have to get he's obviously with the hosting company. The government easily has access to those guys, and they can say, okay, get rid of him. Like, don't deny him service. Basically, they can really black him out, but those services are still running. He probably has something with GoDaddy or whatever, and they're allowing him to to do what he needs to do. So I don't think it's at that level yet. But with Facebook and Google, I mean, an attack like that is an attack on someone's livelihood. That's how he's making his money currently. Not it doesn't mean it's going to be in the future. He can figure out some other way to make money, but currently, I know for a fact that was a huge hit to him, and he does not like that. But I guess he's messaging it in a certain way that, oh, I got censored and all that stuff, which is true. He did get censored by those private companies, but worldwide, if he really thought about it, he can resurrect himself. He's not dead.
Well, I agree, and maybe we're even showing the future here. If GoDaddy or his registrar decided to drop him, if all of the other registrars then refuse to host him, entire world decides they don't want Infowars.com, all of the website hosting companies all line up against him and refuse to host his files, and he can't even buy bandwidth from anyone, and they shut off his local internet, and so on and so forth. That's censorship. Right? That's when I join up and we all become Alex Jones. And even if he said crazy things about gay frogs or whatever, we say, oh, well, we don't support that, but we support his right to say it. That's censorship, right? This is him getting kicked off YouTube. There's just a difference here. That's all I'm saying. So,
yeah. Yep.
Cool. Well, let's see if we got some more news on Bitcoin Talk Show, and then we'll open it up for calls again. Back to cryptocurrency. Bitmain completes its pre-IPO round. Tencent invests in the Bitcoin mining company. Bitmain continues to grow and keeps on growing. They raised $1 billion through their pre-IPO. Impressive. They had more than $4 billion in profit last year. And the recent investment places the valuation of Bitmain at $15 billion. Truly impressive. And once again, showing you how censorship doesn't work. Even if you're a powerful company, Bitmain can't get anybody to stop talking about them. They can't get anybody to stop talking about Bcash and ASIC Boost and all of these other issues. If they could, things would be different. Let's see. I checked out the first Purge last night. Almost one of the last theaters to see it. I was fortunate to see it with MoviePass. I thought it was a quality horror film with a bit of a message. Not as political as the previous Purge, but still more than political enough. Could it happen in our country? I think so. And yeah, I think these Purge movies are worth seeing. They started off as kind of a smaller series, kind of a closet drama, just a family being attacked. But it expanded to quite a political tour de force. I don't know if you guys want to hear the spoilers or what it's really about, but the government has a national day of violence, and it seems like everyone's just supposed to get their violent thoughts and so forth out. But behind the scenes, the government is secretly murdering poor people. And also, it's a bit racially biased as well. But generally, it's a class war, it's a race war. It's very, 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 very dark. It's a fictional film, but I think it's worth seeing because it's a terrifying idea. And again, it's not presented in that way. It's presented like a stupid horror film, but we can have the ideas underneath this can still be important and worth looking at. So I think it's an interesting series.
Yeah, they're good films. No,
Yeah.
I think they're really good films. They're like what are those Fahrenheit 51, like those type of movies that kind of do some predictions of like the future in a sense. They have you thinking. It's kind of in that realm for me.
And a lot of people forget, but there was after the Planet of the Apes movie, there was like 4 or 5 more Planet of the Apes, each with a different kind of political theme. The first one's theme was very much conservationism and not having a nuclear war. At the end, he screams, "You maniacs! You destroyed it all!" He's mad at the past, and that's a lesson to us in the 60s and 70s, not to have a nuclear war, to protect our environment, to have a good society, so that humans continue to conquer the world and the apes don't rise. It seems like a stupid film, but again, that was its message, and that message can even be there inside of a package full of stupid. So yeah, it was good stuff. I also went to the Pinball Arcade here in Las Vegas. I love the Pinball Hall of Fame. I got to play the X-Files machine, Starship Troopers, Terminator 3. That's a pretty new one for me. And good old Simpsons machine. I also checked out some old pinball tables. Here's this one. This is Bally Wizard. This is obviously after the Tommy movie and the Tommy musical that was all about pinball. And what I love so much about this one is right next to it was Captain Fantastic, the Elton John pinball machine, again themed with Tommy. But what's great is he's playing the wizard machine in this picture right here. That's the wizard. You can see the back glass, and you can see this. They had these two next to each other at the arcade. It was pretty cool. I also checked out Fireball, which was neat because the flippers came in, so they were like closer to each other, and you could flip up, and you couldn't miss the ball. And I played Funland, which was a very old one, but I managed to win a couple free games. Pretty surprising. We have some more updates about Linux. This is a Traffic Box light controller. You see the big box with a screen? That's a full Linux server running the lights. See the smaller box to the right? It's a fail-safe. Its only job is to make sure the computer doesn't turn on conflicting greens. Does your system have a fail-safe? I just thought this was a great picture and a reminder of how technological everything's become. Inside all of those light boxes, there must be Linux computers like this that run the servers. And I was especially thought it was neat how they have a special failsafe just to make sure you don't turn on two greens at the same time, causing people to crash into each other. Because when I play that video game Watch Dogs, that's what I do all the time. So pretty neat story. And again, a reminder of how Linux didn't take over the desktop world, but Linux took over the server and the running things world. And just that we're always using Linux without knowing it. And how that's kind of magical. It's a different kind of win than maybe we prospected in the 90s when we thought Linux would be the operating system and all that. It turns out it's the operating system of all the machines everywhere. Still pretty good. Just thought it was fun. BitPay server writes a slightly angry message towards, "Hey, Bitcoin average, did you just change your plans? It seems that accessing the ticker of exchanges now requires an API key. This virtually broke the stores of lots of BTC Pay users suddenly." And that's the danger of relying on someone else's API key. If Bitcoin average decides they need to make money off their API key or whatever, or just change their minds, boom, your product doesn't work anymore. Relying on outside servers is always a weakness. You need to build your own product completely. I think Alex is learning that one.
Wait, what happened here? I'm trying to what happened here? This doesn't make much sense.
Sure. Well, an API key is kind of just like a way to check up on things. So I would
No,
imagine.
I know
Sure.
the API. I'm trying to understand what happened with this API. What was the security incident here?
Oh, well, it sounds like Bitcoin Average was using the API key to get the prices of Bitcoin or something like that, and that they changed the address or made their API key encrypted or just changed the location of the key or something like that, and it broke a bunch of other stores.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like they had a policy where they're like, we're going to share this API key and it's open, and maybe they decided to have a policy that's different or something like that. But it's just a sign again. All of these APIs, Twitter had an API, Facebook had an API, Twitter had actual third-party clients where you could read tweets outside of the Twitter service until they killed them, until they killed the API key. And even when people were building on these platforms, I said, watch out, you're getting tricked into a walled garden, and they're going to put the rug out and then they're going to pull the rug back. And that's exactly what they did. They pulled the rug back on everybody. They closed up Twitter. They closed up all of those outside apps. Same thing for Facebook. And it just sounds like Bitcoin Average is probably doing the same thing here. But it could have just been a mistake. Like they published it at a different address, or something like that. So.
Yeah, this looks like this is definitely not a mistake, because what I'm reading here is that they allowed public access without an API key. So you can just access their API without having to enter any token information or any key information, and you're good. And you're running your code, you're running your website, you have your users that are relying on your website, and all of a sudden these guys now require a key or some authentication to use their API. And I hope they told people about this or warned people that they're doing this, because that's messed up. You can't do that. That's like just terrible.
All right, so we do have an update. It says below, it was not intended. Let us check and revert if necessary. It also sounds like BTC Pay server might have been over their limits. So they might have used the free API more than the free API was allowed to be used.
Okay, good, because that has to be clarified.
Yeah, it looks like it was all fixed, confirmed. Another rapid fix. So good on you, Bitcoin Average. Good job changing it and updating it. I just want to report on it because it seemed like something no one else would talk about. So I want to bring those up.
Yeah, that's a good topic, because that I'm glad it was a little mistake like that, because wow. Imagine if not even Coin Market Cap, like a real important website that or a stock exchange website just messes up like that. It'd be so disastrous. But yeah, cool.
And all the prices would start reporting zero.
Right. Like all these
yeah.
All these hedge funds and these traders that trade by speed, they'll be just completely wrecked by something like this. So wow.
It does seem like I'm coming down with a cold or some kind of a cough. At first I thought it was just the smoke from the California fire, but apologize if I make any sniffle sounds or something. But
oh, sorry, man.
Trying to keep this off camera and everything, but sometimes I'm not so good at that. So but let's just keep going. We got a little bit more news. Vegas Golden Knights went on a road trip to Reno, and they say Reno loves Brad Hunt. And I just wanted to bring this up because Brad Hunt's my favorite player because he has my name. So go Brad Hunt. And first date, her. So what do you do for a living? Me. I trade Bitcoin. Her. So you live in your mom's basement? Me. No, I have my own basement, but pretty much every other assumption you just made mentally is accurate. Funny stuff.
Huh.
For Wall Street, Bitcoin ETF decision could answer $1 billion question. And let's see. I wish I knew the answer to your $1 billion question. Van Eck, the SEC. I don't know the answer. So we'll just have to see if the Bitcoin ETF under the Van Eck Solid X Bitcoin, is it unique? And it's different from past protocols like the Winklevi ETF. It is an insured project. The physical backing of Bitcoin ETF shares would be covered in case of theft, hacks, and losses of all sort. So that's a pretty strong proposal from the Van Eck Solid X Bitcoin ETF. We'll just have to see how it goes. Bitcoin price eyes 7.4 thousand after defense of key support. And let's just go straight to the view. Bitcoin looks set to take out the falling channel resistance and could rise towards $7,400 in the next 24 hours, courtesy of the bear failure at the 50-day moving average support and the bullish RSI diversion. On the other hand, Bitcoin risks a deeper drop below $6,700, the rising trendline support, if prices find acceptance below 6,847, the previous day's low today. And again, just generally what we want to see here is higher lows from Bitcoin, that it goes down a little bit, but that each time it comes back stronger. That would mean that we're in a bull market, not a bear market. If it goes the other way, we're still in a bear market. Who killed Satoshi Nakamoto? I just love that headline. Let's see. Bitcoins, ICOs, He doesn't seem to know anything. Doesn't seem to be about killing Satoshi. All right. So it seems like I don't know what he's talking about at all, but it's a great headline. Just doesn't mean anything. House Judiciary Chair Bob Goodlatte, owns as much as $80,000 in Bitcoin. And the House Judiciary Committee just had to disclose their holdings, including their cryptocurrency holdings. And Mr. Goodlatte had some Bitcoin Cash, and even some Ethereum. This is the first time we've ever heard of a congressman holding Bitcoin and announcing it publicly. Uh, his son is an angel investor in the American digital assets platform Coinbase. So that's probably why he has this Bitcoin and this Bitcoin Cash and this Ethereum. So very interesting stuff. Other Congress people who might have to disclose their crypto holdings include Representative Jared Polis, Democrat from Colorado, whose net worth is an estimated $122 million. Pretty impressive. The Congressional Blockchain Caucus. They've introduced legislation to encourage the adoption of blockchain technology for government services, including an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, where it seeks to promote the use of blockchain for applications in the military. Still don't know how any of that's going to work. It's still, blockchain is a bad database. I still don't understand all that. But nice to see we have some congressmen that support Bitcoin, even though if it's likely because their son is an investor and an angel investor, that means that he got early when no one else could invest. Even though I think everyone I know wanted to invest in Coinbase, we just couldn't. So there it is. He's got some crypto. So pretty cool stuff.
Good for him.
Yeah, and sensible too. So that means that Congress guy has crypto, and this guy, Omkar Godbol, who won't put up a donation address on his Twitter, so we can't send him any Bitcoin, has no crypto at all, yet he reports about it every day for CoinDesk. This is very sad. Like he won't even put up the Bitcoin address. Like I'll give him $10. I don't have a lot of money, but I'll give him $10 every couple of days. I mean, this guy writes good articles for Coinbase, and it says right here at the bottom, he holds no cryptocurrency assets.
He's
Sad.
obviously lying. He has plenty of crypto assets. There's no way he doesn't have crypto assets.
Well, someone did say, they said because he's in India, maybe he's claiming he doesn't. But
Oh
still,
yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
but still, he could say like he's interested in them, or he's dabbled in them, or he has a small amount of them, or something. I mean, I just going straight to no, just seems sad. And then not accepting our donation address, not putting up an address, acting like we were joking or kidding. No, man, we will give you money. I will tell other people to give you money. I'll bet we get 500 to $1,000 if this guy puts up a QR code and a donation address and it's real. We read this guy's columns almost every day. He does a nice work. I don't know why they don't pay him in Bitcoin. It seems tragic.
Yeah, why is he writing about something he doesn't own? It's kind of weird to me.
It seems pretty weird. And again, after watching it go up and down and saying, he's got a pretty good handle. He says if it goes above this, it goes above that. If it goes below this, it goes below that, and all those kind of things. One person saying in the chat that he's a real reporter and wants to be unbiased. If that's true, I respect that. I think that's totally respectable. But I also think it's like Bitcoin is such a big deal and such a big deal in the future. Just because you report on it isn't a reason not to have any. It's kind of like because you report on it now, you're not able to play in the future. That seems bad. Like if I was reporting on the internet and I wasn't allowed to use it,
Yeah,
it'd just be terrible for me, right?
oof. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, if he ever puts a donation address up, we'll donate to him. So let's see what else is going on. The Bitcoin price could be in for a boost from fresh institutional support. And this is what we've been saying for weeks and weeks and months now, that
Oh my
the
God.
institutions are going to come in. The banks are going to come in, the central banks, the corporations. Everyone is going to get into Bitcoin, and that's when it will go crazy. So we haven't even seen it yet. This is again reporting on Goldman Sachs getting into Bitcoin after ICE, the company that owns the New York Stock Exchange, got into Bitcoin big time the other day with a platform partnering with Microsoft and Starbucks, and they call it Backed. Bitcoin, the best house in a tough market, is bouncing back, says Wall Street bull Tom Lee. Tom Lee says the cryptocurrency is gradually regaining market share, which should comfort Bitcoin buffs. Bitcoin price remains low, but despite a rash of developments in the cryptocurrency world, the true sign of its return, Lee argued, is Bitcoin's market share. Also, we're having breaking news right now on CNBC. It is still unverified, but according to Twitter, Tesla is rumored to be going private. Elon Musk saying that he would buy back the stock of the company and make it private again, giving him control over the stock and removing the public investors. As the company says, it's unclear if the tweet is verified. It is possible that someone has hacked Elon Musk's account, made this tweet about Tesla, caused the price of Tesla to go up, and is selling and making lots of money right now. Once again, Twitter needs to be secure, and the headline just disappeared. So we have no idea. Great job, CNBC. Thanks for the not information, and thanks for having it disappear. Oh well, we'll read more about that later. As it says here, the Bitcoin price is back over $7,000 on growing support from Wall Street. That's right. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. Bitcoin halts skid as ETF decision looms. MarketWatch, CNBC, Bitcoinist, everybody is talking about Bitcoin. And they're all saying positive things. With the Van Eck and SolidX application for an ETF still on the line, we're watching for the first date of August 10th, which is 45 days since the Security and Exchange Commission filed a notice on the proposal. And they could also push this to another 90 days if they want. So August 10th, then maybe another 90 days after that. And we should have clarification. We should know if there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF, which would mean we'll know if there's going to be hundreds and maybe thousands of new traders of Bitcoin holding it in their stock market accounts. Bitcoin market share is at the level it was at just after it hit its near $20,000 record high. That's right, Bitcoin share, or what we call it Bitcoin dominance, is up to 47.6% of the crypto market, the highest level since December 20th. The last time it hit this level was at Bitcoin's record high of $19,783 on December 17th. Positive news and hopes that the SEC will approve an ETF have likely risen Bitcoin to this level of dominance. Other cryptocurrencies, including Ethereum and Ripple, haven't seen major news to boost their prices. And finally, Wall Street to give Bitcoin another boost from Forbes' schizophrenic author, Panos Moradakis, who sometimes says Bitcoin is dead and other times says Bitcoin is growing like crazy. He just can't seem to make up his mind. Bitcoin mining giant Bitmain to invest $500 million in Texas data and mining facility. Once again, mining is not decentralized, is not centralized in China anymore. It's starting to spread across the world, even to places you wouldn't think about, like Texas, which I think is too hot for cryptocurrency mining. However, Bitmain is building a $500 million blockchain and mining facility in Texas as it expands into the US market. And again, this is good for Bitcoin. We've also seen mining break out in Canada, where the temperature is perfect, and Iceland, as well as all over the world, including Japan and Europe, both getting involved in Bitcoin mining. This continues to expand to become a global and worldwide Bitcoin phenomenon. So we're out of news to read, but we do have the phone lines open if you'd like to call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network. Glad to talk about any of the topics today in Bitcoin. We'll even talk about the censorship issue and Alex Jones and so forth. We're always glad to talk to people, even if they disagree with us, because we respect their right to have a disagreement and to have a different opinion. And sometimes we just have to agree to disagree. So
Yeah, please definitely call in. And if you want to shill your coins, I wouldn't buy that either. I see some guys in the chat talking about Bitcoin Core. Like, what is that even about? I'm pretty sure that's pretty bad. But if you want to, let's go back a little, Thomas, to that Bitcoin, the Bitmain article that you had. How come I don't hear about any other names, doing this stuff in terms of in this range of 500 million for a freaking mining facility? And why is Bitmain even building a mining facility? Don't they just manufacture? Are they actually mining now as well? Or have they always been mining?
they've definitely been mining for themselves. And one of the things about these ASIC chips is as soon as you finish them, you need to get them in the mining line, right? If you ship a chip somewhere, Vitalik Buterin told me this. He said, if you ship a chip for a week, it loses half of its value. So you have to immediately plug it in the minute you finish it. So it's always made sense to have a factory across the street from your mining factory where you actually mine, right? And you would just do that. So I
Wow.
don't know if they're going to build the chips here in America and ship them to this factory, or if they're actually going to build a factory across the street from this, build some chips there, and then plug them in across the street. Either way, I think this is happening with Bitmain because they made $4 billion last year in profits. So money left over on the top, 4 billion. They're also looking into becoming a cloud company for artificial intelligence. I don't know for sure, but I imagine just like Google or Siri or any of those other things, if you really want to serve people that way, you need to have data centers all over the world so that you can send the request to the closest data center so they can get the request back faster. So that it seems like when you call up Siri, that it's a magical artificial intelligence, and it doesn't seem like it's an artificial intelligence somewhere across the world, and you're waiting for your response. So that's probably what they have in mind.
Yeah, those guys are really greedy, which is good for Bitcoin. We need that greed in mining.
Was for a while, but it's not so good with the ASIC boost issue, right? They were really greedy with ASIC boost, and now we have 2 copies of Bitcoin and a civil war and all of this other nonsense going on. So Bitmain giveth and Bitmain taketh away. It might not have been such a great idea to allow all of the Bitcoin profits to be collected by one megalithic Chinese company, but that's what we have. And again, it was a free market. The profits rolled to them because they were the best at mining, and maybe they cheated in mining with ASIC boost, but still they were the best at cheating. And it turns out this market doesn't have someone to come in and say you can't cheat. So it was perfectly fine.
But this market has someone else who can cheat better than them. I thought that was the whole philosophical reason behind Bitcoin. Like, you know, we're mining on laptops, and then all of a sudden someone develops something to mine on GPUs to take even more advantage and win more of those blocks. And then someone says, okay, I'm gonna build an ASIC so I can get some more Bitcoin. I mean, the greed just spearheads it. So whether it goes to quantum computing or whatever, I just hope that there's that competition, that adversarial nature that brings competition in where someone can actually compete with someone like Bitmain. Right now, I don't know who that person is. I'm pretty sure that they'll rise up and challenge Bitmain. But yeah, I'm just curious to see how it will go. But like you said, I mean, it's the market. We'll let it ride. We'll see how it goes. That's the beauty of Bitcoin.
Yeah, it would be great if there was a competitor to Bitmain, someone really powerful and strong, but there doesn't seem to be one yet. So hopefully they don't run away with the whole thing and put themselves in an unbeatable position, but it's entirely possible that they do. This was an open and free market. Anyone could join. But as soon as Bitmain started having plans for their chips, they started to get ahead of everybody. And the better their chip plans got, the better their manufacturing facilities worked and so forth, the further ahead of everybody they got. They're saying in the chat maybe Samsung is interested. I know AMD might be interested. Intel, big companies like this are really what we need to break this Bitmain monopoly and give them some competition. But right now, I'd say they're probably 95% of the whole market. They're producing all the miners. They're mining with a lot of them, and they're expanding. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully they give up that Bitcoin. They someone figures out a layer 2 solution to take that Bitcoin that they earned from mining away from them. But yeah, that's interesting. That is always interesting. There has to be some form of competition. I mean, yeah. I hope there is. There is at least.
Meanwhile, I wonder if the phone call machine is broken. We are here on Skype at World Crypto Network. Everyone in the chat was all fired up, and they all wanted to talk about censorship and private property, but they don't want to call in. You could also call in if you just want to talk about Bitcash and Bitmain and all the people that were disappeared recently in Bitcash. I thought that was a pretty interesting story. They can't even seem to keep their own developers. They banned their main developer. They banned this guy. They banned that guy. They just can't seem to agree. What do you guys think of that? Do you remember this guy?
Oh, there we go.
Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? Oh, you might be muted. Unmute your microphone. I could hear it ring, so it's working on my end. All right. Well, I think he managed to call in yesterday, so do what you did at whatever yesterday. And again, it's easier probably to call in on your phone. If you want to get the Skype app for your phone, that might be easier because you got the microphone right there. You got the headset right there to talk into. It's really easy for talking. A lot of people call from their computer with their microphone. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? Doesn't look like it's working today. Try turning it off and on again. But once again, if you're at home and your microphone works and you might have the phone app on your phone, you can go ahead and call us in now. That'd be great.
I hope YouTube is not censoring in our callers.
Well, that's the nice thing is that we do use a variety of service. So it would have to be Microsoft and Skype who would shut down our calls. Then it would have to be YouTube and Google that shut down our live feed. And then Twitter would have to shut down our ability to say short messages where we would no doubt complain about these other companies shutting us down. So we've got some.
There we go. Nice and persistent.
Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Dave from Albuquerque, New Mexico. There wasn't too many calls, so I thought I would call in and say hello and thanks for doing what you do, that sort of thing.
Thanks so much. Welcome aboard, Dave. Anything you want to talk about today in Bitcoin or even the Alex Jones censorship issue or anything you'd like to talk about?
Thanks, Dave.
Sure. Yeah, no particular topics. I'm just waking up, so I'm kind of still coffeeing up and that kind of thing. But it's just it's so nice to get up and listen to this show and everyone you have on and the callers and all that. It's great. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Dave. And we just think everyone should be able to listen and call in and give us their opinion. And sometimes people don't agree with us and sometimes people do. And I'm fine either way. I think it's exciting just to talk about Bitcoin and these new technologies. And if it rolls over into another issue, I'm not worried about it. I think most every issue and thing are connected, and we should talk about it. It gives us the ability to understand, right?
Yeah. I love the educational aspects, and I also like the sort of organic way you arrive at these educational aspects. I mean, you come from a variety of perspectives and angles, and it's just it's great because as an individual, it's so easy to get locked into one set of information, inputs, just listening to various podcasts, and I hear so much misinformation about Bitcoin and Lightning outside elsewhere, not on this network. You guys seem to have it, but I hear and read so much. I mean, as you know, and it's just nice to hear sensible thoughts and opinions and ideas and anyway, that was it, and I'll let somebody else call in. Hopefully they will, and I just thank you guys.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Dave, and give us a call anytime.
Yeah, definitely, Dave. Thank you.
And I agree with what Dave's saying. A lot of people discuss Bitcoin and they discuss Lightning Network, and I don't think they really understand the basics. I don't think they've really done their homework. They're coming in a little late. They have less information than they need to really understand the topic, and they try to just wing it, right? They try to fake it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I kind of understand what's going on here," and they act like they're experts and they overblow themselves and so things. I think we've got to go the other way. We've got to be like, "I'm not an expert. I'm pretty clever. I've read some articles, but I need to learn more." And that way the audience can teach me and they can say, oh, well, the lightning really means this and it really means that. And things can be different. They can change up. So I think that's great to do on this show. And that's why we take calls. And that's why, the calls are the best part of this show. This is where the audience actually gets to talk. And also from a historian perspective, we are recording these calls and these interviews essentially for future historians who can say, hey, on August 7th, 2018, they thought this about Bitcoin. They thought that about this. And then if things change and Bitcoin becomes a big deal, they'll be really interested in this. And if Bitcoin changes and becomes a small deal or no deal, they'll be interested in it for a different reason. But I think it's really interesting either way.
You're also recording this call for the government as well, right?
Of course. Government can scan this and track everyone's voice and come back and fine everyone for having a little bit of Bitcoin or whatever they need to do. But again, it's an upside, it's a downside. It's totally public. It can totally the NSA is no doubt monitoring this and listening to the sound of our voices and so forth and all that thing. But it's a guy says Thomas will sell your data and calls. I'm actually giving it away already. So being a public show, there's just no expectation of privacy here. Everybody that calls, myself included, is a completely public person. So, let the chips fall where they may, right?
Yeah. Hey, Thomas, real quick, that DApp radar site you pulled up that shows all the decentralized apps for Ethereum, that's pretty awesome. I just looked up Augur because I saw a tweet about this yesterday from I think it was Whale Panda, but he basically said that Augur only had like 60 something users in the past 24 hours, which is mind blowing to me because they raised, I think, 5 million. Oh, another caller.
Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going, Thomas? It's Jose. I was just listening, and I saw you guys wanted someone to call in, and I was like, fuck it, let me call in and say.
There we go.
All right, Jose. We've got you right there in Mexico. But let's continue with this topic like CoinPacket was saying, because I saw the Whale Panda tweet as well, and I also thought this was an interesting site because he brought it up. But yeah, Augur only has 65 active users in the last 24 hours. To be fair to Augur, they were a very early ICO. I think they only raised $5 million, which is kind of nothing in today's market. However, they might have had a bunch of Ethereum and they might have had a bunch of other stuff that went up in value. So I think they are pretty well off. But what did you think, Coin Packets? Is this not enough users for them or not enough users for any of these distributed applications?
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic actually to me because I mean you raise 5 million and you launch and you have what 65 users a day. You can see the volume is at 68 Ethereum, which is probably around like 25 grand that they're moving across the platform. The balance to the actual contracts, which is that 4,500 Ethereum number, that's like 1.8 million. So I don't know how they're breaking it down, but that's not 5 million. Or maybe my math is just bad, but it's just these, and it's not even a top 5 decentralized application. But these are the types of apps that we're really hoping win for Ethereum, and they're just not performing well.
Well, and full disclosure, I do know the Augur guys, and I think they're good guys, and I support their project. But it is a little disappointing, like you say, to see this few users. I know that Augur did wait a long time to launch. They spent a lot of time on the code trying to make sure that it wouldn't be hacked and so forth. I guess there was a big complaint about their user interface. I haven't gotten a chance to try it out yet, but apparently it's very difficult to use. which is a surprise to me because I heard they hired this fancy company called IDEO or something like that that makes all the big interfaces to design their interface. So I thought the interface would be good. Actually, I was wrong on that. But yeah, I don't know how Augur is going to get more users. I always thought that was part of the problem. I thought the other part of the problem is if you really, really, really threatened the gambling market, people would come to you and they would ask you to stop. So I've always thought that was a problem for Augur. But let's get Jose involved too. Jose on the phone. What do you think about Augur and these distributed apps? Should more people be using them? Are these numbers shocking? What do you think?
Yes and no. Like, as a matter of fact, would you mind popping up this website called blocktivity.info? I don't know if you guys are familiar with that website.
No. Pull it up.
But yeah, if you go to that website, all of a sudden you're going to see there pretty much the block activity of, you know, all these blockchains. And when you look at the number one, it's EOS. And
what are they using to judge this activity? How is it different than the previous website? The previous website had users. What are they using?
Well, okay, no, yeah. So on Blocktivity, what you're looking at here is, you know, you're just looking at activity on blockchains, on each blockchain. So, for example, like, okay, now, okay, I'm glad you got it up there. So when you look there, you get to see EOS, and then you see, you know, the block activity, and then you go to Ethereum all the way to number 4, and you look at the block activity there. Now, if you go all the way to the right where it says index, look at, like, put your mouse over the end, like, you know, the little colored thing, the green, yellow, red thing. Just put your mouse over there and you get a little information, and you'll get to see what's going on with the Ethereum network. I don't know if you can do it so everyone can see real quick. No, yeah, just put your mouse.
All right. It says Ethereum has 100% blockchain capacity and 52,000 unconfirmed transactions.
Exactly.
Let's compare.
Now, do the same for EOS. Now move up a little bit to EOS and look at their blockchain.
Now these other ones, it's different though. They're not saying it's at 100% capacity, so it's different. It just says like 0.55%.
Exactly. So they're not even at 1% capacity. So the thing is, when I look at what you guys were just talking about with Ethereum and Augur and all that stuff, I think that people are just starting to realize really quickly that Ethereum is not going to make it. And a lot of projects already are porting over to EOS because, as you can see, look at how much activity is going on their blockchain. They're only using 1%, like less than 1%, half of 1%. And again, look at Ethereum. We talk about Ethereum and the gas usage and the clogging up of you know, of the whole network with just crypto kitties and so on and so forth. And so when I see the whole thing with Augur, I'm not saying like it's a bad idea. I just think that there's not enough people out there willing to spend gas or Ethereum in order to make it work. And again, like they themselves are saying it's buggy and it's not working right. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy, but when all I'm looking at is like I look at things like this. And I'm just seeing that, yeah, I don't know. I don't really believe in Ethereum because of things like that. And then you're looking at, you guys were looking at, I forgot, I don't know what website you guys were looking at, but you guys were looking at all the coins, all the ERC20 tokens, right? And so look at, yeah, like that's why I brought this web page up, because you can see like real numbers. Look at Steam. Look how much Steam has, and BitShares. But anyways, yeah, I'll let you guys.
This is a little, and thanks for bringing this up, Jose. This is different though, because it's not really pointing out the architectures. Like the architecture for EOS is obviously different from Ethereum. Ethereum is actually kind of close to a real blockchain. The only thing they did bad is they rolled back their blockchain, but they're still kind of decentralized in terms of how the miners and the nodes operate. But with EOS, it's more efficient, right? It can support more transactions, but it's pretty centralized because they basically have, I don't know if it's nodes, but they have like a system where people have to be voted in as nodes, and those, I guess, I wouldn't call them master nodes, but they would have ownership of choosing which transactions come in and which transactions are good or bad. So there's some centralized points there which make it more efficient, but it's almost an apples to oranges comparison here. So they can say though that, okay, we are a decentralized app, even though they're not fully decentralized, and they can put themselves on this list. but putting the activity like they're doing it there, they had to kind of break down and show the caveats. Like, hey, the reason why Ethereum is not performing well, why it's over capacity, is because it's performing like a true blockchain. But people are putting shit like video and freaking video games on Ethereum when obviously it cannot support that. That's not how the blockchain database is.
I totally get it, but that's the thing. You know, when I look at Ethereum and I look at EOS is, you know, I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that, look, first of all, the whole thing with EOS is like they have 21 block producers, and I get like the whole, you know, we could talk about it back and forth, whatever, about the whole centralization thing. But again, I look at EOS again, still like a pioneer baby. There's going to be better products, better than these two coming up, you know, in the future. But anyways, when I look at EOS though, I look at what EOS is trying to do, and they're just providing the tools in order to build the free internet. You know, everything needs to be decentralized, and we need tools. You know, we need these things to. So that's why, like, it's a great point that you brought up about Ethereum, because again, you're like saying, oh yeah, because you know, people putting videos and putting this and putting all this other stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to, you know, rebuild the internet. So, you know, we need something more like an EOS and not an Ethereum, where an Ethereum is going to cost money. And again, as things get tighter, as the economy tanks, as the dollar goes less and less, you know, it doesn't go as far. You know, these things are going to start really coming up and in question, you know, when corporations, everyone is going to be like, well, if we can just create, look, how about this? I look at EOS like PlayStation, and I look at Ethereum like Nintendo. You know, like this is just back in the day. You know, like the reason PlayStation was able to kill it was because they opened themselves up to developers and saying, hey, yeah, we'll take anything. Whoever wants to make a PlayStation game, we're good. Just make it and we'll put it out there. And Nintendo was like, whoa, you know, we have all these rules and regulations, you know, meaning like, you know, we can have blood in our games, and they have to have Mario, and they got to have, you know, Zelda and all this stuff. And again, you know, Nintendo was awesome. I was a Nintendo fanboy, but at the end of the day, we know who won, you know, the video game wars. It was Sony and Microsoft, you know, for doing, you know, open source type stuff. So that's the way I'm looking at EOS, and I'm looking at Ethereum more like they're trying to, like, you know, create something, you know, for like a privileged few. And it's like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? We're trying to create something again that's just for the people and let the people run with it. You know, again, a la, you know, Alan Starworth. You know what I mean? You know, was it Alan Starworth? But anyway, the guy that's just open source, and that's the way I'm looking at decentralization, the new internet, and everything that goes with this. So again, EOS might not be the right one. It might be Cardano, it might be Tron, it might be, I don't know. Again, I'm not the tech guy, but I'm looking at projects. And again, even Dogecoin. I look at Dogecoin and it's like, yeah, you know, or Digibyte, and, you know, they're providing like a currency, a service, you know what I mean? You know, for people, you know what I mean? And it's not about, you know, money or any of these other things. It's not about having a middleman. So Bitcoin could be like gold. It could be like, you know, like, hey, you have some Bitcoin, but you're not going to move it, or you're only going to make big purchases with it, et cetera, et cetera. But on a day-to-day basis, you might be using Dogecoin, Litecoin, Digibyte, whatever. And why? Because it's free, easy to use, and people, you know, give it a value like cash. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I agree, Jose. I think it's possible. A lot of people try to say this about Bitcoin. They say so-and-so is the next Bitcoin. It's possible that EOS is the next Ethereum, and that we're seeing a changing of the guards. And what I like about this blocktivity.info website or this dappradar.com website is that both of them are showing us more information. Now, before we all go and start trading on this information, well, let's remember that we're in a hype market, right? Trading logically doesn't really work. Logically, I looked at Ethereum. It had an infinite number of units. They could print more at any time. They had no code. They had a countdown timer, and they had a boy genius. So the project didn't look so good logically, but the hype took care of it, and the thing went to the moon and all that like crazy. So when you look at these projects, we don't know which one's going to the moon, and we don't know if it's because of hype or code or actual usage. But statistics like this hopefully let people make a better investment decision. But then again, you know, it's a crazy market out here. Throwing darts at a board might be just as good.
Yeah, Jose, yeah, I really appreciate you bringing this up. It's a great topic to always talk about. I just think that your argument for EOS was probably the wrong token to bring up here. I don't know about BTS or Steam, but EOS, and shout outs to DP in the chat. They have 21 validators, right? So these validators have basically almost complete control on what happens. So it's almost a censored network in a sense. It's basically whatever these 21 validators tell you to do is going to happen. And they had to put that in to add efficiency. So that's just how it is with blockchains. Blockchains are really inefficient databases, but they're sources of truth. They're really good at.
I'm not trying to say it's the best. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that they could be a pioneer, and others, could create a better EOS, and that's it. Just something better, low. That's just following that same, vision of being free. And again, isn't EOS just a platform to build things on, like Ethereum? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, but it's not in the same boat as Ethereum because it's not decentralized like Ethereum. People can knock Ethereum all they want, but it does have. Obviously, Vitalik is a centralized piece there, but Ethereum at the core, like you can take Ethereum Classic, which people still use. Ethereum still has a blockchain. There's no 21 validators that can determine what goes on there. It's completely different from EOS. And that's why it's hard to write stuff on Ethereum, because it's a blockchain. It can only support as much that can fit inside a block.
And
So
if you allow me to play a little devil's advocate here, while you or I might not like EOS with the 21 sensors or whatever there are other people and maybe even other organizations like banks and businesses and companies that would love to have a blockchain where you could roll back transactions. If you're a big bank and you made a mistake, you sent someone $75 million instead of $75, if you're on the Bitcoin network, you're screwed. If you're on the EOS network, I don't know what it is. You have to fill out some forms. You got to talk to some people, whatever. That transaction might get reversed. So what to us might be a detriment, to others might be a selling point.
right, but we can't say that it's decentralized. I think we should kind of strip that aspect. We can't tell developers like, hey, you can develop apps on this thing and it's truly decentralized. That's not the case with EOS. It has some decentralized aspects, which is great, but it's no different from a company that's just spreading their information across databases that are in China, New York, Paris, just like Google does.
Definitely. We have to watch it with labels. Like I was talking about earlier with political parties. You say, oh, you're a Republican, so you believe this, this, and this. Oh, you're decentralized, so you must have this, this, and this. Blockchain, decentralized. All of our words are starting to lose their meaning as they just become marketing speak, right?
Right, because I'm just happy that Jose brought this website, because this is really cool. Whoever developed it, kudos to you. But I could develop a blockchain that can could support as much as the network. It could support 1 trillion transactions, but I'm the regulator on that blockchain with my friend, and what we say goes, and we're just good at it. So we can basically feed as much transactions as we want. This is kind of like telling like half of that story, whereas Bitcoin, the entire network has to agree and come to consensus before activity actually happens. So it's not going to look that great, but that's what a true blockchain is.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for your call, Jose. Anything in closing?
Talk about financials. I talk about other stuff, but the way I look at EOS is more like it's just another project, and we need projects. Like, again, look, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin Cash, for example, but I'm not a hater of Roger Ver. I understand that we need good products and bad products, and we need products in the middle. But we need a lot of products, and that's the thing. We need to have all these products so that we, the people, can make our own decisions on what we're going to use these things for, as opposed to just having 1 or 2 choices, and then having these 1 or 2 choices give us 1,000 choices, but they're really just 1 or 2 choices. We really do need the freedom to have many choices, and then from that, we pick the best and we morph and we create other ones and so on and so forth. And again, I see there's a use case for Ethereum, for EOS, for Cardano, for Tron, and for others that we're not even naming here. But it's just it's having that freedom to have all of these, and they all have their own use cases. Ones that we might not see here, because we talk about tech and we talk about freedom and all this other stuff, but there's a lot of applications out there that would benefit from this, and and it's okay to have certain things centralized, like let's say records in a hospital or something, or insurance records, and the only people that have all these or even shipping stuff, you know what I mean? But that they're centralized by certain entities that own these blockchains that need it, that need all this information there somewhere. And that's what I'm saying. We need, we just need variety. Again, Nintendo is still around. Atari, I think, still makes video games. We got, I think Sonic is still hanging out somewhere. I don't know if he's out of rehab or not. But what I'm saying is, everyone's still around, and we got the winners, which are like I say, Microsoft, Sony, and we have other players now. Like we have this new revolution. I'm not a gamer anymore, but with a new revolution of all these free games, and it's all about, again, just reducing that cost, and that's really what's going to dictate everything. It's just the cheaper things are, the more people are going to gravitate towards that thing. And I'll end it there. I'm going to let someone else call. I know I talk a lot, but anyways, thanks for letting me share my words.
Thanks so much for the call, Jose. Give us a call anytime.
Oh yeah, thanks, Jose. Really appreciate it.
And another thing I think he was talking about there is the thing that Spock used to say all the time: infinite diversity in infinite combinations. So I think that would be a good thing for all of us.
Yeah.
We still have time for maybe 1 or 2 more phone calls. I saw somebody was trying to call a minute ago, so if you want to give us a call back. Oh, almost worked. It's funny. You can call and hang up. Here we go. Works this time. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
IBOB from Long Beach.
All right, we're having some trouble hearing you. Why don't you just give us a question or a comment really quick, and we'll see if we can get it in. Well, now we're really having trouble hearing him. We heard just a little bit. Are you still with us? He's still connected, but we're hearing some microphone noise. Maybe try unplugging it and plugging it back in, something like that.
Better?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
What'd you guys catch? Because I guess I didn't say.
No, just what's on your mind about Bitcoin today, or any of the topics we talked about today? Go ahead and tell us about it.
Well, I see everybody shilling their shit coins, so I called to do mine. I guess I found mine, and I'm sticking with it. Corey got Neo. You had Feathercoin. So I'm going with Binance Coin.
Binance Coin.
Wow.
And Exchange Coin. There's a guy at the Meetup who was all about Binance Coin, and we went home and looked at the chart. It looked pretty rough on the chart. Why do you support Binance Coin?
Yeah, do they even have a blockchain?
It's not decentralized or a blockchain, or I don't know what the hell, but their CEO, head guy, whatever, he's doing some good stuff, and I'm going to stick with it.
They certainly built They built a very large exchange out of nothing really quickly. Kind of took me by surprise. I remember it was just an ICO, and now it's a big exchange, and people talk about it. So that's the success they had.
Yeah, and every week, every month, he's making moves. He's always posting something. He's busting ass. So I'm getting behind him and Bitcoin.
Seems like a good enough reason to support something, but always at your own risk. Bitcoin is still the one to me, but if you want to put a little of your money in there and gamble, it's perfectly okay. It's a good guy. It's a good idea. So go for it.
Yeah, not all. I'm not going all in on that, but I'm putting some of it in there. See what's up. See what happens.
Right on. Anything else we talked about today you'd like to talk about, or any other altcoin you want to promote?
I was at the DMV and I couldn't put the volume up, but I was reading the chat, but I really didn't catch the beginning of the show. So
no worries. We had a lot of talk about Alex Jones and censorship and all these kinds of issues. Even Bcash had a little censorship going on as they've removed one of their developers, and they're attempting to wipe him from history. So we had a lot of fun censorship topics today.
Oh man, Alex Jones. I haven't watched that dude in a while. But
yeah, they're pretty mad at him over the Sandy Hook thing and saying that frogs are gay. I don't think they like making fun of him for that. I don't think they're mad, but no, it's pretty big.
He started just selling supplements every 10 minutes.
That's it, and that's why I'm not sure if he's part of the problem or part of the solution, because his shows always make people afraid, but they never make you do anything good or anything positive. And yeah, it seems like it's gotten worse and worse with the selling of survival supplies and supplements, like you say, and all that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's always hurry up and get ready because shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, just scaring everybody.
Yeah.
Get scared. Buy my stuff. Buy my
It
survival
also seems
kits.
whenever he talks about the enemy or the problem, they always have everything. They own all the communications. They own everything. They're perfectly prepared. It just seems like he's created this fantasy version of the enemy, much like the United States did during the Cold War. We thought that the Soviet Union was a giant monster coming to get us because we believed in giant monsters coming to get us. The guy who came up with all those ideas, John Nash, the founder of game theory and a lot of these ideas, was legitimately a schizophrenic. So he legitimately believed that people were after him. Then he designed American foreign policy to fight Russia as though Russia were the exact most evil monster that we could imagine. And when they pulled little tricks like instead of having 8 missiles, they had 1 missile and they surrounded it with mirrors to make it look like more, we believed them. When they made up propaganda and things about how strong they were, we believed them. And it led us to create this all-powerful enemy that we could then fight against. And I think sometimes that's what Alex is doing when he describes how powerful all these conspiracies and so forth are. I'm really sure. I don't think they're not that powerful. I think he's overestimating.
That's crazy. They had a schizophrenic.
Yep. Yep. Legitimately, you can watch the movie Beautiful Mind. He has a beautiful mind, and it's also full of other people, and some of them are quite terrifying. So,
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go because I gotta get back to work.
Yeah,
all
make
right.
sure to fill those bags with Binance coin. Don't forget.
I'll fill some up. Let's fill it up. Don't worry about it.
All right. Put a little in there. Put a little in Bitcoin. See how it goes.
Put a
But we
lot in Bitcoin. Put a lot in Bitcoin.
put a lot in Bitcoin. All right, man. Have a good day at work. We'll talk to you again.
Talk to you later.
Yeah. And as always, you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more calls. We're heading towards the end of the show. Make sure your mic's working. Make sure you have a quiet room, maybe some headphones. That really helps a lot when you call. But it's been great, and we'd love to hear from you guys. I'm still a little bummed we didn't get anybody in here to defend Alex Jones, to fight with me over censorship. I'm ready to go, but I also think we've mellowed a little bit, and the people in the chat are kind of like, yeah, it's okay. I understand what he's saying about private property, and I'm not even dissing Alex Jones. I don't believe the official story of this and that. There's been a lot of strange things happened in American history. But it's fun to talk about. Checking out our map of the world here. It's starting to fill up with pins. My plan to map us here on Google Earth is starting to fill up really good. And thanks so much to everybody from all over. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? Oh, still don't have the microphone working. You tried a little earlier. It wasn't working. Try wiggling it. Wiggle it a little. Hold it to the left. No, your other left. Okay. Sorry, it doesn't look like it's working. But we'd be glad to take your call if it's technically available. So sorry about that, man. Try restarting it or something like that. I don't know. I do think using the phone is the easiest way to call in, getting the Skype app on your phone. But we're going to try to keep this going for 15 more minutes. So Coin Packet, you choose the topic. It's all on to you. What should we talk about for 15 minutes?
Let's go back to Alex Jones because oh, there we go.
Oh, it's Jose again calling back. What's going on, Jose?
Jose.
I gotta coin the show. How about an Alex Jones coin? We should
There we go.
for him and get him out.
To the moon.
There
Alex
you go. I think that would work. All of his supporters could put their money where their mouth is. They could buy it. They could subscribe. They could pay him the tokens, so on and so
They
forth.
can buy all his products, with those tokens, with Alex Jones tokens, all that colonial silver and all that, what is it, anti-gay
If you think the U.S. government's gone too far, you need to use Alex Jones coin. Alex Jones coin is the only coin you can use to buy supplements and clean water. In the future, there'll be no U.S. dollar. There'll only be Alex Jones coin.
I'm telling you, man.
I wish I could do his voice. Somebody was doing an impression. I think it was Colbert or somebody yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I should work on that. I should work on an Alex Jones voice just because he's got such a unique way of speaking. And he's always fired up too. Yeah.
Have you guys seen the music video that they did for Alex Jones? I don't know if you want to play it. That would be a great way to end the show. Just search for Super Deluxe Alex Jones. You should be able to play it, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to play music and stuff, but then they take my ad rights. So why don't you just tell us about it and we'll just discuss it that way. That's better.
But yeah. I mean, but that's beautiful. That's what when I heard that he got taken off YouTube and stuff. I couldn't believe it. I was searching. I've been searching to see if I can find him. I can't find him anywhere. So I played that song. Just in remembrance.
Yeah, right on, Jose. Well, thanks for the call. Looks like, hold on just a second. I might have somebody else. Hold on. Let's see. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, Christian again from Morro Bay. And just following up on yesterday's call, I did get the green light for a meetup group in Morro Bay. And the proprietors of this espresso bar are also interested in hosting an ATM machine. And the Bitcoin I bought on Saturday for $100, they charged me like a $12 fee. So whatever that comes out to percentage wise.
Well, that'd be about 12%. It's a
12%.
pretty big fee, but once again, if it's your only way to get Bitcoin, if you don't have the online accounts or you don't have the credit cards or you don't want to connect your credit cards, it's a perfectly good way to get Bitcoin. But that's super exciting about the Meetup and the ATM machine. Just goes to show what the power of an individual with individual connections can do. So when are you guys going to start? When's your first Meetup?
I'm going to register with Meetup.com and probably do it, on Sundays. That's the best time for me because I have a day job other days of the week. So probably Sunday. About 1 p.m. I don't know if that's a good time or not, but that's when I'm available. So I'm going to sign up for. They have different promotion packages with meetup.com. Is that the way to go? Would you recommend that?
Yeah, I use meetup.com and I do, regrettably, I pay them some money. But once again, they provide a service to me. I provide them with money. It's a fair deal. But yeah, I would just say start out. What I did is, at least with the Las Vegas meetup, is that we're meeting weekly. So it seems like a lot. But to me, it's really just, every week I have to go to a bar and eat dinner. So it's not that bad. I don't worry about it. And if people come, I'm super excited and I can talk to them. We have a good time. And if people don't come, I'd be a little bummed, but not that bummed. I just kind of keep coming back each week. And I don't know if that's going to be super successful, but that's my strategy right now. So.
Okay, I'm down with that. That sounds good. I'm available and willing to do that. And also about Alex Jones, I didn't hear all the background reporting on that you were discussing. But if not for him and Max Kaiser, I probably wouldn't have gotten pulled into Bitcoin and alternative histories and ways of thinking, alternative media. Although not all of it is good. I'm saying there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there, but it did open my eyes to cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and again, Max really got me going on it, and I even bought silver way back then when he was trying to what was it, tank Chase Manhattan or something like that with buying a bunch of silver, which didn't work, but still, it's proactive stuff. It's I'm into doing that kind of action and affecting change or not, just seeing what happens. I'm pretty media savvy, having a degree and broadcasting and film and all that stuff, so I can kind of see through the crap. And I know a lot of it's showbiz, but some of it's really useful as well. And I feel that way about Bitcoin. Some of the survival stuff is, yes, it's an industry and people are getting rich off of it, but some of it is very useful as well. So you kind of have to discern and discuss. So I'm glad you brought up that topic.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. Just for me, I think Alex needs to be on his own platform. It's always been a risk for him to be on a general platform like YouTube or Spotify or any of these things. And now that he's back, presumably on his own platform, he can continue to broadcast like he always has. People are calling it censorship and they're all upset, but I'm just seeing it as YouTube and these other companies with their private rules and their private property are finally enforcing them. And yeah, it's going to interrupt his business. He's going to have to change the way he does things. But he, benefited from these private properties for a long time, and he can't benefit from them anymore. So it goes. Shrug your shoulders. Just keep working, right?
So
Mm-hmm.
why you bring up a good
for a little bit, so be it. Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though, because now you mentioned Max Kaiser. Why is it Max Kaiser banned? Is it because he's with Russian television, or
there you go?
He's kind of in the same boat with Alex Jones, almost to me. Maybe not as extreme, but yeah.
I think Max has seen similar what he would call censorship. They've had comments censored, or they've had videos shadow banned, or something like this. People are trying to crack down on RT, but for slightly different reasons. People see it as like, Russian propaganda and all these other things, which, it certainly is partially that. But I would think he's more respected. He says less crazy things, and he's on a bigger platform. But we'll have to see. I wouldn't be surprised to see. I know that YouTube already they put, like they're saying, Jose says in the chat, they put a warning at the beginning of all the RT shows saying that this is foreign funded questionable information or something like that. I don't know the exact words, but they're essentially trying to warn you. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, caller. Sorry.
Yeah. They put that disclaimer on there, and I know Max has felt censorship when he was based in London. There, I know him and Stacy go around the world and do things on the run. But they're like a floating production company, kind of carnival. But I think it's a fun ride, and but he's also doing important work, and sometimes you have to get on the mainstream or get on the public airwaves to have a platform, but then sometimes you have to go back underground too. So it's a balance between the two. You're always going to have to kowtow to a little bit of authority here and there, FCC or whatever, but again, it's taking the action and keeping the voice alive and keeping the energy alive. So hats off again to you guys. I'm going to jump off here, and thanks again for what you do, Thomas.
Yeah, thanks so much for the call, Christian. And it's even possible here that Alex might get more promotion out of this than he had in the first place. So,
yeah, thanks for the call, Christian. That's awesome.
Thanks.
And good luck with the meetups.
All right, I think we're heading towards the end of this show. Thanks again to Jose for calling in. We might have lost you there, but it was pretty neat that we can pick up one call while we still have the other. Oh, we're getting another call. Let me see if I can unmute it in time. Google hides the interface. Let's see, we get him. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network, but you're muted. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can unmute you. Oh, it's so okay. Click it and then wait. All right. Caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Philip calling from Ghana.
All right, Philip. What's on your mind today from Ghana?
Okay, so just something I noticed. BitConnect. I like to talk about BitConnect.
Are you into BitConnect, or are you wondering what happened.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what happened just some few days ago. The price went up, I think 100%, from 24 cents to 60 cents. So I was wondering what went on. Are they coming
Sure.
back? It's just a pump and dump.
I think, yeah, I think you've got it with the second one. It's likely just a pump and dump. A lot of times in these old coins, a coin like Feather Coin, which I like Feather Coin, or an old coin like Mega Coin or Terra Coin or Earth Coin, other people come along with a lot of money and they buy a bunch of the coin, and then they tell all their buddies, "Hey, we're gonna pump, Joe Coin," and Joe Coin starts going up, and they sell early, and everyone else gets stuck holding a bag of the coin. So I imagine they're just pumping BitConnect. Certainly, if you were still holding, and if somehow you went into profit, you managed to get out, it would be a great pump for you. But once again, a lot of these pumps, if you don't know about it, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to profit about it, because they're going to sell when you're buying and buy when you're selling. So
It's a trap. It's a trap.
it certainly is. Well, thanks so much, Philip, for your call. It looks like you're on hold right now. Are you still with us? Okay, so Philip, does that answer your question? We think it's a pump and dump. Oh,
Man, that's awesome. Philip calling from Ghana.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Okay, what's your thoughts on
all right. Thank you so much for your call, Philip, and give us a call anytime. We definitely appreciate having a call from Africa. Very exciting for this show. I think it's our first call from Africa since I started putting the pins on. I remember
World Crypto Network.
That's it. I remember previously we had a call from South Africa, but it's very exciting to hear from you in Ghana. I hope that you didn't buy the BitConnect pump, and if you are still holding it, I hope you got to sell it. But get yourself some Bitcoin, even if it's a small amount. We're big believers in Bitcoin here, and we hope that it can help you even somewhere really far away and foreign and exciting like Africa and Ghana. So I hope you're doing well, Philip. Thanks so much for the call. I think we're ahead to the end of the show right now, but always exciting when we get an international call. Right, Coin Packets? That was pretty cool, huh?
Every time. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Because I just put this show out on YouTube, and I have no idea where people are watching YouTube from. And again, we're fortunate to use the YouTube platform. I definitely benefit from this. I think everybody that listens to the show benefits. It would be a bummer if we had to leave YouTube, but I think we're pretty middle of the road content here. I don't think we're offending people that much, so we should be all right. But Coin Packets, where can people check you out? Do you have anything coming up in the future? Anything you want to promote or tell people about? Go ahead.
Man, three things. Twitter, you can follow me at Coin Packets, just at Coin Packets. I am a part. The second one is I am a part of a meetup in Raleigh. It's a Bitcoin meetup. Really good folk that come out there and discuss Bitcoin. Basically, talk the same thing we talk about on the show, which is pretty good. So everybody, please, if you have a meetup in your area, join it. And then I am working on a website called coinshakedown.com. I just rank different cryptocurrencies. So that discussion I had with Jose, I try to get into those aspects of different coins in terms of what's blockchains or not, but still tweaking the algorithms behind it. But yeah, if you guys want to check out just different ratings and how I rate stuff from my mindset, feel free.
It's always good to try to rate coins, and of course, any website that has Bitcoin #1 is all right with me. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
Yeah, man, it's been fun hanging out. We took some calls. We got pretty sensationalist there talking about Alex Jones, but I think we were able to come together in the end. I'm just standing up for private property rights, and there's just different ways of looking at this. It's a very complicated issue, and I appreciate everyone for chatting about it in the chat. I think we had a really good discussion there while we were having our main discussion. And thanks to everybody who called in. It's been super fun. We're going to be back again with another one of these shows tomorrow at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. You can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network. Let's see. I owe you guys a couple of videos. I'm starting to fall behind. I owe you a video of me handing out flyers in Vegas. It's on my editing deck. It's ready to go. I have had a friend in town, so I've been hanging out with my friend. It's been distracting me from my important crypto work. I also, what was the other thing? Oh, blast. I don't even remember now. I have to edit that video, and there's some other video or something that I owe you guys. Damn it.
Well, we appreciate all the work you're doing, Thomas. This is a really good channel.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Well, we have the meetup on Thursday. I should try to do Bitcoin group on Friday. Some guy was messaging on Twitter. He was like, "No Bitcoin group. I'm so upset." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing 7 days a week, 2-hour call-in shows in the morning. It's kind of taking my time." But now I don't forget what the other thing was, but I'm going to give you a video of that and some other thing that I said I'd do. But oh well, I'll figure it out soon, and I'll get it up soon. Oh no, I remember now. It was the typewriter. I owe you guys a typewriter review and a bunch of information, especially about that cool Tom Hanks typewriter that you guys bought me. I haven't forgotten you, typewriter fans. When my friend takes off and I have more time, I'm going to get that one video edited, and I'm going to demonstrate the typewriters to you. At least the typewriters are working. I'm a little bummed. I don't suggest anyone buying antiques on eBay. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. You're going to get a big, heavy piece of metal that doesn't really work that well, and then you're going to spend the rest of your life searching for typewriter repair shops. So yeah, not that great. But a couple of them work pretty good, and especially that Tom Hanks one actually works really nicely. So I wouldn't have bought that one without you guys. I would have been stuck with two kind of typewriters that need repair. At least I have one typewriter that's pretty decent. But yeah, I owe you a typewriter video. I owe you a Vegas handing out flyers video. I hope to get those done soon. But until then, I'll be at the Pinball Hall of Fame playing pinball with my buddy who's in town who also loves pinball. So
awesome.
More pinball pictures coming your way. So
oh, wow. Well, thanks, Thomas, and really appreciate all the callers that called in, and the chat was live today.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Everyone's giving us those thumbs up. We almost broke 300 thumbs up yesterday. I think we got at least 100 today, maybe 200. But it really does help to spread the word about the show. As always, you can support us by donating to the Bitcoin address on your screen right now, or by supporting the patreon.com/WCN, patreon.com/madbitcoins. And we also have our fundraising goal of $1 million to support Bitcoin. My nose feels pretty clogged up. Probably going to have a sore throat soon. Hopefully I can keep talking through all that, but we'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for everybody for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until next time, bye-bye.